I'm trying to get some tunes going, so. I don't know. It will not play, guys. Oh no. Oh well. We'll move on. No holiday music. Well, hey everybody. It's Good Time Gal. This is our post New Year's Eve bake. So I decided to bake bread. Bread is super easy to make if you know how to do it. I like to use my grandmother's never fail homemade bread. I'm looking at the recipe right now. This is an old, look at it's super old. Super old. Been in my family generation. I'm the youngest of 6. My grandmother, I believe, is the middle of 8. So this was something that we enjoyed doing together. In my family, when we want to talk about difficult things, when we want to just relieve, the stress of the everyday life of an African American family, we usually do it around food. That was how I grew up. So if we needed to talk about domestic violence, we did it around food. If we needed to talk about our boyfriend cheating, we did it around food. If we wanted to talk about family issues, we did it around food. And that's something that I really want us as a world. I know I'm in America, but I know I have viewers from all over. So this is something that is really passionate for me. And I want everybody to be able to have, conversations around food. I usually have a pretty chill vibe where there's like music playing and I just bake. But today there's no music. So it's just going to be a quiet bake, I think. So this grandma's no fail bread. Okay, I'm going to give you the recipe. So you need 6 cups of all-purpose flour. We've got it. Then you are going to need a package of yeast. I have a jar of yeast because that's how much yeast I use. I bake bread probably 2 loaves once a week. And so this is mine. So usually on the back it'll tell me how much, because this is going to say you need 2 packages of yeast. But this is already, there's no packages. So on the back it will tell you how many teaspoons you need. So for this particular bread recipe, I used 2 teaspoons and 1/4 of a teaspoon. I also put it in 2 cups of water. So right now my yeast is activating. And can't forget stick of butter. I also have, with yeast, a lot of people don't know, to proof it, to turn it into bread yeast, because you can have cake yeast, pie yeast, pastry yeast. Yeast is a wonderful active ingredient for all baking purposes, right? But this particular one, when you want to make bread, you add a teaspoon of sugar, so that way it will proof the yeast for you. So I've already added 2 teaspoons of sugar in it. Thank you for that. So now I just have to add salt. And you know your girl, I use real salt. So I'm going to have to do a little shaking to get 2 teaspoons of salt. And I want to point out, I just read you this. This is not a lot of ingredients, right? This is very easy bread. It's not going to take long. We're just going to do it. Now what will take long is probably me sifting the dough, sifting the flour, because I enjoy having a very wonderful texture. So this is always the hard part for me when I do this. This is a huge hard part for me because I can never, like, this lip is so tight that I usually end up, I did it. I usually end up throwing this everywhere. So somebody was looking out for your girl today. So I'm just going to do 2 teaspoons. I'm going to put it in the water, the yeast water. I'm going to push this closer so you can see it. There. So you can be real nosy. And then, if you notice, I have on an old sweatshirt. Then this is my other teaspoon. I still have a little salt, so I like to throw some over my shoulder. Some people know what that's about, some won't. All right, let me get my apron. Let's get our apron, because you know what? Even though this sweatshirt is old, I don't know if you've ever tried to get flour out of your clothes, but it is, it's not the one. So I hope everybody is getting ready for New Year's. It's like right around the corner. I blinked. I was telling my friend the other day, I was like, oh my God, this weekend. And she was like, girl, it's already Saturday. I was like, it's already Saturday? Yeah. So you know where I'm at. You know where your girl's at. All right, so now that I have this mixture going, I'm going to use a spatula. This is my yeast, salt, sugar mixture. And if you look at it, it's warm water, not hot water, not cold water, warm water. So like if you ever have had a child or had to fix a bottle for an infant, like where you put your water under the wrist, where you put your wrist under the water, excuse me. And if you can feel the heat, it's too hot. If you can feel cool, it's too cold. If you can't feel anything, the water's perfect. That's the same concept we use with yeast. So now I'm just making sure that it is dissolved like I want. And it is, it's dissolving. So we're good. So now I've put everything in here. So I'm gonna pour this yeast mixture into this bigger bowl. And then I'm going to put my stick of butter in the microwave. Because I want it melted a little bit. Not too melted, but melted enough. So my New Year's resolution, if you know me well, you know that I do not do New Year's resolutions. I usually do something called a New Year's forgiveness. So usually what that entails is I call every single person that I know. And I ask them if I have offended them in any way in the year. I say, hey, this is me. This is Good Time Gal. Have I offended you in any way? And usually they will say yes or no or girl, you being crazy, right? And usually after that, I ask them for forgiveness, right? I usually say, if I've offended you in any way, please forgive me. That's usually how I do my New Year's. It's almost melted. So I want to do maybe 20 more seconds. I'm going to be honest. I have never gotten someone to say, you offended me. I've never. So that is something that I like to do. As far as New Year's resolutions, when it comes to weight, when it comes to changing a habit, I find that when you put it so concrete, I'm going to do this New Year's resolution, forces that we don't know about will always thwart you, right? They're going to always thwart you because you put it out there. You put it out so confidently. So the universe is going to meet your confidence, right? Like, girl, you said you was going to work out 3 times a week. We waiting. So for me, if I have something that I want to change, if there's something that I want to do, I try really hard to I try really hard to make sure that the resolution is attainable, right? Like, I don't want to do a resolution and then fail it, because that actually can affect your self-esteem, right? So the butter is perfectly melted. So now I'm going to actually put the butter with the yeast mixture. But no, I've never had anybody. Thank goodness. I have never had anybody like, girl, you offended me. Because I would be like, what? What? How? How? Let me plug up my beater. So no, I mean, I'm just, if you're into losing weight for your New Year's resolution, do it. If you want to change your lifestyle, do it. But just, what I love to tell people is give yourself grace, right? Give yourself grace. Don't get too caught up in it. All right, so I'm only putting half of the flour inside of the mixture, and then I'm going to beat it, and then I'm going to add more, okay? I'm liking how it looks. It's coming out super smooth. I don't know. I get in these things called baking frenzies, and I'll make like 80 loaves of bread, and then I'll do like scones. Like when I did the cranberry scones, I went ahead and did like 2 more loaves of cranberry scones, blueberry scones, and almond scones. Everybody loved them. And then I got calls this Christmas like, can you make any more scones? It's like, y'all, that was just me having a baking stem moment, right? I was just baking my life away. So now it looks very consistent, kind of like a cookie batter. So I'm going to keep adding, okay? So when your dough gets this thick, the consistency is too thick, so all it's going to do is fight with your beater, right? It's not going to, it'll just move it around, and then you won't actually get it right. But it's already a nice doughy consistency if you look on my beater. Very nice. And the sun is hitting it. It's such a good, it's a good bake. So this is what it looks like, right? It's almost dough. Like if I push it, yep, it's almost, we're almost there. So for this final part, for this loaf, we're using our hands. You gotta use your hands. And I'm just going to move it around. Now the crazy thing about this is I'm gonna have to do this. You ready? For 10 minutes. So I gotta set my timer. All right, so the timer is set. So now we knead. So I hope you see the majority of my grandmother's work with the bread. It's just you doing the work of kneading the bread, right? So now that I've got it formed into a nice little ball, I am going to go ahead and wipe the excess flour off my counter. And this is a tumultuous bake because look, there's no that's it. Look at this flour. That's it. I ain't got no flour, y'all. I've got enough, right? I've got enough to do what needs to be done. So see, you see it? So I've got enough. So now that I've done that, I'm gonna spread it evenly. We like to be even Stevens sometimes. I was reading about the loneliness epidemic. What are y'all doing? Do y'all not like hanging out with yourselves? Are you not having a good time with what is, you know what? I'm a Cancer. I was born July 1st, 1981. That's right. That's my age. And I love being by myself. Isn't that crazy? I do. I love it. All right, so now that I've got the flour, yep, and now I just knead. But no, I actually, people have to sometimes ask me to come out because I enjoy being by myself so much. This holiday season was really fun because I got to go out and have a really good time, you know? But generally speaking, I enjoy myself. I have a great time with myself. So I think the loneliness epidemic, when we say that, I don't know what we mean. Do we mean that we miss someone doing our labor, our shared labor? Do we miss having those intimate conversations? What do we miss? Because the truth is, if you're doing the right thing, you'll never be lonely, right? Loneliness can derive from you wanting to be constantly entertained. Humans are not meant to be constantly entertained. Humans are meant to live, laugh, and enjoy, right? So when you feel that loneliness, that lonely feeling, right? Always ask, why do I feel lonely? Is it the vibe? Is it my vibe? Is it the people that I'm around? So I'm going to tell you now, I've been married and I felt lonely. How many people have been married and felt lonely? How many people have been super popular and felt lonely? Yeah. Loneliness is kind of like depression. It sneaks up on us when we're not expecting it, right? When we least expect it, loneliness happens. So that's something that we must always remember. Are we lonely? Or are the people around us making us lonely? And I know when we were little, it was so easy to make friends. And then we get older, people get crazy, and we got politics. So it feels like we can't, but you can. So I encourage you all, as we do this bake today, find your own path so that you don't have to depend on others and you don't have to be lonely. Some of the best times I've had in my life were with myself. The big thing I like people to understand about Good Time Gal is this was me trying to give my love to everybody. I love you, take my love. No. I love you, take my love. No. I love you, take my love. No. Really, truly. I was rejected. You're not pretty enough. You're not skinny enough. You're not light enough. Oh yeah. Just kept going. Until the point it made me feel like something was wrong with me. Like, what is wrong with me? These people keep saying these awful things. And what is wrong with me for accepting it, right? And one day, it just hit me like, you are such a loving, nurturing, kind person. You should just give all of that love to yourself. And I was like, wait, can I do that? Can I give all of my love to myself? And somebody was like, yeah, you can do it. And I just started doing it. I started giving every single drop of love, energy, time, all of it to myself. And that's why I'm successful. So I say that to say, don't get caught up in the loneliness hype, right? Don't get caught up in, oh, well, I don't have friends. I don't have this. Just keep going. Because I know the universe, especially if you're a kind person with a good heart, the universe will make sure they take care of you, right? But rejection is one of those things where I was told people rejection is protection, right? So if that person didn't want me, they were protecting me, right? If people don't want my friendship, oh well, those probably weren't the friends I needed. But we must all get comfortable with just being who we are, ourselves, and being okay with that. You see how it's turning now? Look, all this dough kneading, it's turning into a nice loaf. This is going to be a good bread loaf. I will probably turn these into braids because you guys see me do this all the time. So this one will probably be braids. A lot of people get nervous about making the bread braid, but if you've ever braided your doll's hair, then you know how to braid. And you see why this is so relaxing for me. It's just kneading bread. This is really good for your forearms too. A lot of you are like, well, you don't have any flour. At this point, I don't want to add any more flour because I think I have maybe 2 more minutes left, right? A couple more minutes left of the proofing. And then we will start the design. Because that's what it's about. Oh yes, it's looking beautiful. Look at that loaf. Look at that. We're getting it. So we just keep kneading. Making bread is relaxing. You don't have to think about anything, right? And then the smell, as you do this, the yeast and the flour activate, so it already smells like fresh bread. Oh yeah. If you notice, it's just moving through my hands. Not having to do a lot. I'm just pushing with my palm, right? You see me? That's it. See how beautiful it's coming out? So I'm going to do it again. Now, pastry dough is different than bread dough. With pastry dough, what I would do is I would fold this into a square, and then I would take a rolling pin, and then I would roll it, and then I would do it again on each side, like a square. And then I would put it in the freezer for 10 to 15 minutes, and then I would do it again. Pastry dough is sensitive. So the reason you stop and you freeze is so you don't overwork it. This particular dough, this bread dough, we've already added the sugar and the yeast, so there is no overworking it. It's just good bread. So now, there it is. One more knead, we're done. So now this bread is done. Now my grandmother will tell you, God rest her soul, but she would tell you, I could do this as a loaf, just like this. And then slice it. Or I could put it in a actual bread pan and turn it into a bread slice. Or this bread, even the recipe, it says on it, it says shape into loaves, rolls, or cinnamon rolls. Yeah, so this is that. This is like, I want to make quick cinnamon rolls. I want to make a loaf of bread. This is one of these recipes where it's always wonderful to have because it can be used in so many different ways, which is also a part of food equity, right? If you hang out with me enough, you'll know that I love food equity and I love to talk about everybody deserves a chance to know how to cook. Everybody deserves a chance to be versatile in their cooking. So this is why I like this recipe. So we're going to cut it in half, right? I said I was going to do some braids. So I'm probably going to cut this into 3 loaves and we'll braid it and you'll get to see all that, okay? So let me get a knife. Just a butter knife. And then I'm gonna move you a little lower. Yes. So now y'all don't gotta worry about it. See? Yep. And obviously the sun is shining on me because it's a beautiful post New Year's Day to make bread. So then I would cut this in half. So I'm gonna cut this. So there's one loaf. And then 2, 3. All right. I'm going to flatten it a little more. I'm going to cut it into 3 parts. And now you're going to watch me braid it. So that's going to go over this. That's going to go over this. This will lift up. This will go under. Wait a minute. Braid. Ooh. Now I got to braid it like real hair. There we go. There we go. That is all happening. Oh, my life, my life, my life. All right, so that's the braid. And if I want to, I could do this where we finish it. Braid, braid, braid. So now you have a braid loaf. Yes, a wonderful braid loaf. So we have 2 more loaves to go. So then we have this loaf, which we could make into biscuits, but I'm not. I'm gonna, again, we're doing braid loaves. So the best thing for me to do with this guy is to get him done. So I'm going to put my braid loaf there. We'll just keep going. This is going to be some good bread. So again, 3 parts. Ooh. I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. Ooh. Did I make them too big? Maybe. So now I'm going to have to pinch. Pinch. Until it gets, yeah. That way. Pull it out. our other braid. And we got one more nice loaf. So I'm gonna I'm leaving this into a tiny loaf. The reason I'm leaving it like that is because I like to use this for dinner. So when I make dinner tonight, I will have a tiny little fresh loaf of bread. Perfect. So now that the bread is done, we're gonna put this in the oven. Perfect bread. So we're putting these in the oven at 375 for 10 to 15 minutes. This isn't gonna take long. If you notice, the majority of this was what? The kneading, right? The yeast had already dissolved with the salt and the sugar, so this is never fail homemade bread. And for those of you who are wondering, I put it on the top rack because you put it on the lower rack, it could cause the bottom of the bread to harden. I want every piece to be a wonderful bread delight. But yes, this is one of my favorite things to do, making bread. And yes, we always clean up because I always end the live before I clean up. But I do clean up, okay, y'all? It is cleaned up. Well, this live is almost over, isn't it? It is. And before we end this live, we've got to talk about some things. Number one, have a really good new year, okay? Don't let anyone or anything stand in your way of having one kick-ass new year, okay? That's number one. Number two is, thank you guys so much for showing up to my lives every day. I started this last year and I was quite nervous, but you guys have made this so much fun. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my good time gal heart. And thank you so much for the love that you give every live that I do. Thank you for letting me drone on and on about my love for cooking and food equity. Yes! So my promise. Oh yeah, that's right, y'all. We got to talk about the holiday cookbook. Okay, so Good Time Gal for the holidays is a holiday cookbook. So that's got Christmas, Easter. It's got every single holiday you could think of. And it is a part of this live. If you do purchase it, you will get a discount. But I did want to tell you guys, unfortunately, my hardcover copy, it was supposed to be here the day after Christmas, and we were going to do an unboxing together, and it was going to be one of the most magical things I've ever done. They told you, girl, they're not bringing it till the 7th. So we still are on our countdown for that, okay? But it's done. It's happened. We are going to have our Good Time Holiday Cookbook unboxing the 7th of January. And don't feel like, oh, well, the holidays are over, I don't need that cookbook. Baby, some of the best recipes I've ever made are from holiday cookbooks that I bring to everyday occasions. Now, enough about that. Let's talk about the Good Time Gal cookbook. This cookbook, delicious, affordable recipes for all occasions. That's right. So this is the cookbook that I would recommend some of us purchase if we can, or just give it a little look-see. It is available elsewhere, but I can't say. That's all I can say. Do that. Blink twice. You know what I mean? So this is a cookbook that I wrote in 2023 after becoming 5th place in the Favorite Chef competition hosted by Carla Hall and sponsored by the James Beard Foundation. I also entered this into the James Beard Awards. Yep. So this is actually a really wonderful cookbook. This cookbook has over 40 recipes, over 15 meal plan options, and all of the recipes, I believe you can make them under $20 to $30. Like, there's a price range on these recipes. So this is a cookbook that I made for my fans who were voting for me, for people who were loving the fact that I was in a cooking competition, giving it my best. So this is what this is. So when you open it, it's just gonna let you know that it is dedicated to all those good time gals, the ladies who love to throw a good party, whose chief complaint in life is to have a good time. Yep, that's your girl. So it's just a really, really super fun cookbook that I call it a working cookbook, because you're going to use about 70 to 90% of these recipes. And each recipe is better than the next. And that was a big thing that I was not aware of until I let my niece practice with it. And she was like, holy shit, auntie, like every one of them is better than the next. I am from a family of cooks. My grandmother was a prominent chef in Arkansas, and her daughter, which is my mother, was also a prominent cook in Portland, Oregon. Her and my father opened a barbecue restaurant, and they sold it, I believe, 8 years ago. It was one of the best barbecue joints up there, along with Campbell's Barbecue. But it's just in my blood. Cooking is in our blood. So whenever I recommend you something, I'm not recommending you to do it because I'm getting bonuses and things like that. I'm doing it because, again, this is about food equity and about everybody having the opportunity to cook for themselves, to cook for others, and to spread love in an amazing way. Now, when I was cooking, we was talking about that loneliness epidemic. And that's with men and women, right? There's a loneliness epidemic. I'm alone. You know, like I said, I am the only one that is not lonely because I love my own company, which is wild. But cooking is a really great way to bring people together, especially lonely people. The one reason I say that is because you don't have to talk. Just eat. And if you feel comfortable enough and you want to talk, then you do. If you feel comfortable enough, you want to open up the floor for conversation, you can. Food is a great bridge for communication. Hey, what did Jesus do? The Last Supper? You gonna throw that out? What was Jesus' first miracle? A wedding? Yeah. He wanted to turn water into wine to make his mother happy. He didn't even do that for him. He was like, I don't even care. I'm just here. Just like, do this. Do this for your mama. See what I'm getting with this? Food is a very important thing in our lives. Food brings us together. Food can fall us apart. In America, we throw away, I want to say 1 billion pounds of food a year. And that is factual. I'm not making that statement up, right? So the beauty of this book is that this is not a wasteful book. This is about sustainability. This is about food equity. And this is about having a good time on all occasions. This past year, whoa, right? It's been a crazy year. So I don't want everybody to be like, well, next year, I want you guys to have some kind of positive focus, a beam of light, a beam of sunshine. So the Good Time Gal cookbook, it's here to stay. We're going to always have this one. We also have the Good Time for the Holidays 2024 cookbook. That is also, I will be making a holiday cookbook every year for you guys. So that way, we just expound upon the deliciousness of communion through food. So yes, so this one is really good. There is a holidays section. There's also the best salads section. So there's really great recipes in here that I feel like not only were my fans when I wrote this gonna be a part of it, but I want you guys to be a part of it, because that's what food equity is about. You teach your kids how to cook, teach people how to grow things, so then they in turn can help other people. Every neighborhood should have a garden. Every neighborhood should have an area where they have wildflowers growing. Every neighborhood should be full of bees. There should be somebody saying, "Where are the bees? There's too many bees." Yeah, you see what I'm saying? So that's what food equity is about. It's about turning that wheel that's stuck so that we can move forward into a new way of being. Aren't y'all tired of DoorDash? Aren't you tired of Uber Eats? Let's do a quick DoorDash story. So there is a restaurant in my town called Red Olive, and it is so good. It's so good that they made a pasta dish. I had to replicate it at home, and I couldn't, so I called the chef. I know, that's me. So he replicated it for me, and I did it. But even still, because it's like how your mom makes something for you and you'd be like, it tastes better when you make it. That was kind of how I was with the chef. I was like, my pasta, it tastes great. And nobody else, like my fiance at the time, he didn't notice it. The kids at the time, they'd say it tastes the same, but I could taste it. Okay. So one night I say, I want Red Olive. Let's DoorDash it. I say, let's DoorDash it. So we DoorDash it. And my fiance at the time, ex-fiance at the time, he called me and he said, "Hey, I am actually right by that restaurant. Let me pick that up for you." And I say, "Oh my goodness, that is a wonderful idea. Let's do it. We'll call DoorDash and we'll do that because we're regular customers at this particular restaurant." So he goes in and he says, "I'm here to pick up the order." She says, "Oh, he's already dropped off the order." I get a knock on the door. They have dropped off on the order, but guess what's missing? The pasta salad. He only left the pita bread and the drink. So then I call him and say, the pasta salad is missing. The lady, because he's still in the restaurant, and then the lady, the nice server says, wait, no, that can't be true, because I was the one who fixed your order. I was the one who put the pasta salad inside. Our DoorDasher had eaten our salad, and the DoorDasher ended up getting fired. So I say that story to say, ain't you tired? Ain't y'all tired yet of DoorDash doing us dirty, right? Because that's what DoorDash does. So this is a really great tool. If you get tired of DoorDash, if you get tired of Uber Eats, if you just get tired of, where is my food? Why are they eating out of my food? These are really great recipes. They're super easy. They are some of these are less than 5 minutes to make. Some are less than 10 minutes to make. Some for a whole meal prep are 30. And that's the beauty of this cookbook. It's like, that's why I say it's a working cookbook. Like if I gave you this cookbook right now and was like, hey, you got 20 minutes to make something, you can make about 5 dishes. Yep. So no, that's it. That was my tangent about food equity and DoorDash, and I'm sure we've all experienced the frustration with, where's my food? And that was a big reason I stopped using DoorDash. It seemed that every piece, like it would be like, okay, I'm ordering shawarma, but there's no chicken, just the shawarma. Like, DoorDash. So we stopped. But no, Good Time Gal cookbook. It's for anybody who wants to cook. It's also for beginners. If you know someone who really loves cooking, who wants to be able to cook and not use expensive ingredients starting out, this is the cookbook for you. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get off of here, you guys. It is 11:08 my time. Happy post New Year. I want everybody to bring in 2025 with just light, love, happiness, and just go out and celebrate, because we made it, right? We made it to 2025. All right, you guys, see you later.